Hello, our cherished viewers. It's once again your boy. Wow, am I a boy or a man? I'm a big boy. Yeah. Once again, I'm hitting your screens on 45 TV football today. There's a lot that happened the past few weeks and the last few days too. The Uefa Champions League, the greatest football club competition, was once again on our screens. It was such an exciting moment. There are teams that are shaping up to potentially win the Champions League. Let's look at the Champions League as a whole, as a competition. Personally, to me, football is an extension of the larger society. I see the world through football. Football provides me with a lot of perspective as how the world is evolving. And Champions League is such an awesome competition that gives one the picture of what the world looks like. One thing that the Champions League offers that's close to reality, it offers a second chance. Let's look over the years, especially in the 21st century, where clubs have lost the Champions League final and the gods of football offers them an opportunity to win again. Let's look at Manchester United after they had lost the Champions League final in 99. That was Bayern Munich after they had lost the Champions League final to Manchester United in 99 by that last minute goal. In 2001, they had the opportunity to win the Champions League again. So it's such an awesome competition that provides fans or provides teams with the opportunity to enjoy again. Let's look at the games. We are just hitting on games of those big teams. Starting when on Tuesday, Real Madrid, the defending champions of the Champions League, kickstarted their campaign with a game against Stuttgart, a German club. Madrid won the game by 3-1. The scoreline might be a bit deceptive. It was such an interesting game. It was a close score game. Madrid started the game on a bad note. Stuttgart had so much control over the game. Madrid throughout the game was still, as the season keeps on moving and moving, they are still struggling to get going. But then they were able to churn in the results to get a 3-1. At this stage in the Champions League, the most important thing is getting the 3 points. The results doesn't matter that much. You can play all sort of games that you want to play, but if you don't win, history doesn't care about how good you played, but how well you won. So they won the game 3-1. Bayern Munich also started on a very strong foot. They played against Dinamo Zagreb and they won by a convincing 9-2. A 4-goal thriller by Harry Kane. 3 goals were scored from the spot, and the new kid on the block for Bayern Munich, Michael Olise, he was able to get onto the score sheet. And Liverpool also played away to AC Milan. It was a game, a fixture that has so much memories to tell. We remember what happened in Istanbul in 2005 when AC Milan was leading by 3-0 in the first half, when Liverpool came from behind to send the game into penalties when they won on penalties in 2005. You remember I said early on that the Champions League is such an awesome Champions League that provides clubs with a second opportunity. 2 years on in 2007, Liverpool faced AC Milan once again. And this time around, AC Milan were able to avenge their 3-3 parity that they lost eventually on penalty shootout. They won by 2-1 and won the Champions League 2007. And in the game, AC Milan struck first. But then Liverpool were able to come from behind and win the game by 3-1. And there was another exciting fixture too between Manchester City and Inter Milan, Internazionale Milan. It was a game that both sides shared parity. It was a 0-0 game. And you remember very well that both sides met in the Champions League final 2 seasons ago, when Man City won by 1-0, courtesy by a goal by Rodrigo Cascante. It was such an interesting game at the Etihad. It's a stadium that Man City hasn't lost a game in regulation time. Yeah, they lost to Real Madrid, but that was on penalty shootout. But they hadn't lost in regulation time for over a year now in the competition. They both shared spoils. It was 0-0. It wasn't a game that both sides had too many clear-cut opportunities. Let's look at other fixture too. Arsenal faced Atlanta and it was a 0-0 game again. David Raya had such an excellent game. He saved a penalty It's becoming something that is so synonymous with David Raya in recent times. He's been doing so well for Arsenal, winning games for him. That is something that is akin of Thibaut Courtois for Real Madrid. It was a 0-0 spoils too. And another fixture is Bayern Leverkusen, back from such a scintillating performance last season. Against all odds, they won the Bundesliga. They were able to break the dominance of Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich has been winning the Bundesliga for 11 successive seasons. They were able to end that dominance by winning the Bundesliga. So they were starting their Champions League. And they played against Feyenoord. And guess what? They won by an emphatic victory. Emphatic 4-0 against Feyenoord. The game was all done and dusted in the first half. Are we going to see another miracle by Xabi Alonso's men after they won the Bundesliga against all odds? Can they win the Champions League again? Oh, let's see. Time will tell. It was such an interesting fixture. And Paris Saint-Germain played against Girona. Girona hasn't been in so much good form this very season. They lost convincingly to Barcelona. But then it took a last minute on goal for Paris Saint-Germain to win the game by 1-0. Many thought that Nuno Mendes had given them the winning goal, but then that wasn't the case. And Sporting Lisbon won 2-0 against Lille, and the new kid on the block, one of the biggest prospects, biggest talent in number 9, Gyökeres, was able to score. He's been in such an excellent leading form. Had so much good form last season. He was able to move the form from last season into this very season. And he scored the first goal, and the Basque scored the second goal. So Sporting Lisbon won 2-0. Such a season for them. Whoa, it's such a season that we are expecting from Sporting Lisbon. Let's look at the last fixture that we are going to look at in the Champions League. Now, we are moving into the Champions League as a competition. What are your odds-on favorite to win the Champions League this season? Is it Real Madrid? Is it Manchester City? Is it Arsenal? Is it Paris Saint-Germain? Is it Barcelona? Barcelona started the season on a strong foot. Hansi Flick's men had not lost a single game this season. They were beating all teams in the La Liga, but they lost to Monaco. Is Monaco a kryptonite to Hansi Flick's methods? Because they had beaten them in the Trofeo Juan Gamper, and they beat them again in the Champions League. In the first few minutes, they were down to 10 men. Eric Garcia got a red card, courtesy of a mistake caused by Marc-Andre ter Stegen. Viewers, I want to ask you this question. Is ter Stegen still a world-class goalkeeper? Many Barcelona fans would disagree with this opinion. To them, he should be long gone because he was responsible to the 2 goals that they conceded. Lamine Yamal was able to prove parity in the first half by scoring the equalizing goal to make it 1-1. But then, they conceded the second goal later on. A save that Marc-Andre ter Stegen could have easily saved it. It was a goal that was coming close to him, but he was able to save the goal. It was hit straight at him. I don't know whether he was running away from the shot or what. It wasn't something that was supposed to score him. But then he conceded, as he has been conceding a lot of goals, especially in the UEFA Champions League. It has become a nightmare competition for Marc-Andre ter Stegen. So, would Barcelona be able to go far in the Champions League? Over the last few seasons, they've been having disappointing campaigns in the Champions League. Not to forget their back-to-back Europa League appearances. This is very unlike Barcelona. This is not the Barcelona that we all grew up seeing. The Messi's Barcelona, the Iniesta's Barcelona, the Xavi's Barcelona. It's not the current Barcelona that we are seeing. They are easily a disgrace in the UEFA Champions League. In fact, they are a disgrace to the Spanish football. Because Real Madrid won, Atletico Madrid also won. Girona didn't win, but they were able to prove their mettle against the expansive, the star-studded Paris Saint-Germain side. And as a side that is boasting of Dembele and the new kid, Bacola. They were able to stretch them to the wire. This year's Champions League is going to be an exciting Champions League because it's the new format. It's a new format. It's the table format where the first 8 teams get an automatic qualification, while the rest would have to battle themselves out and add up to the 8 teams. That the rest, meaning that the 8 coming downwards, they are going to place a bubble, and the 8 that comes out of it will face the 8 teams in the round of 16. So it's a new competition altogether. It's the same Champions League, yes, but then it's a different format, a different system. In the old system, when you lose a game, you have an opportunity to avenge. But this time around, it's totally different. Barcelona met Monaco and they lost by 2-1. There is no chance for them to meet again in the group stage format. They will only get to meet again in the knockout stages. Real Madrid beat Stuttgart. Liverpool beat AC Milan, but they wouldn't have the opportunity to avenge themselves in the group stage or in the table format. They are only going to meet again if they both advance into the knockout stages. This year's Champions League is going to offer a lot of spectacles. They are playing so many games as more than we always used to play. So it's going to be something that the form of the teams are going to play a part in the long run. Are clubs going to go all out? Are clubs going to rotate? Are clubs going to play the best players at all times? Because they are playing a lot of competitions. Clubs, especially teams in the English Premier League, they are playing the FA Cup, they are playing the League Cup, they are playing the Champions League, and they are also playing their league football. So clubs or teams are going to play more than 60 games in the league season or in the whole season. Your squad depth is going to play a major role in this year's UEFA Champions League. Do clubs have what it takes to have their best players fit for competition, to the business end of the Champions League? Well, time is going to tell. Who knows? Teams would have to wrap their best players in cotton in games that are not so much important to be able to preserve them in the business end of the season. Because winning the first format, the maiden edition of the newly UEFA Champions League would also come as a bragging right. Will come as a bragging right to a lot of football clubs. So I believe that so many football clubs would want to give in their all. But in as much as you are giving in your all, you need to look at the health of your players at the business end of the Champions League, where the games or where the competition is actually won. I've always said time without number that the World Champions League is being played in February, in March. That is where the World Champions League is being played, not this time. At this stage of the competition, the big guys are just prepping themselves because most often than not, they find themselves moving away from the group stages. So this time, it's not where the Champions League is really being played, but it's being played at the knockout stages. That is where the Champions League is being won, because at that point, there is little room for errors. In the group stage format, in this time, it's not really a group stage, it's more of a league format. There is still room to amend your corrections. But this time around, there's a little room to maneuver your way out when you make mistakes, especially in the knockout phases. That is where the real competition is being won. It's going to be an exciting season ahead of us. Who wins the Champions League? Is it odds on favorite Man City? I don't know why Man City has always been favorite for the Champions League in seasons. For the past 4 seasons, the betting odds always place them as favorite of the UEFA Champions League, whilst Real Madrid are the eternal grandmasters of the UEFA Champions League. I just don't know why they always choose to keep Man City as the favorite. But then, hey, Pep Guardiola has been doing something miraculously for Man City in the Premier League. He's been able to win the Premier League in 4 successive seasons. So it's not fluke that they keep him as a favorite. Real Madrid has always been in their way from winning the Champions League. They've won the Champions League last 2 seasons, but in the last 3 seasons, when they never got close to winning, it was Real Madrid that became the barrier to them winning the UEFA Champions League. You remember the Rodrigo remontada when he scored in the last minute to be able to send the Real Madrid, into extra time, where the Karim Benzema penalty was able to win the day. And last season, Real Madrid was able to push them to penalties when they won by kind courtesy of the winning goal of Antonio Rudiger. So these both sides are also favorite to win the Champions League. And there is Arsenal too. But then there is something about the Champions League. It's a mythical competition. I believe in the spiritism of football. Many will talk about the tactical nose. Many will talk about the structure, how clubs set up. But the UEFA Champions League is a spiritual competition. That is my view. That is my opinion. I believe that it is more than what is being played on the field of play. It is more than that. It's one competition. You don't need to be the best to win. You don't need to be in an exceptional form to win. Chelsea won the Champions League when they were not even the best team in the Premier League. They were not even the top 4 side in the Premier League, but they won the Premier League in 2012. Look at the team that they were paraded. A team made of Ramirez, a team Cahill, a team that Lampard was way beyond his peak, a team that had old John Terry. That was a team that were able to win the UEFA Champions League with Roberto Di Matteo, who was even sacked. In fact, he was the interim manager. Andres Villas-Boas actually started the season, but he was sacked midway through the season for Di Matteo to take Chelsea. And they won the Champions League at the home ground of Bayern Munich in the Allianz Arena. The last minute equalizer from Didier Tabili Drogba was able to push the game to penalties. And they won against German club on a penalty shootout. We all know that penalties is a specialty for German clubs. See how Real Madrid was able to win the Champions in 2018. They were third in La Liga. They were 16 points behind Barcelona. But they were able to win the Champions League. So you don't necessarily have to be the best team to win the Champions League. It's a special competition. Over the years, the winners have been recycled. There is a few set of clubs that have been winning the Champions League in recent years. Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. Bayern Munich, Real Madrid. And Chelsea have found their way into that exclusive group in the 21st century. They've won the Champions League twice. In the 21st century, Bayern Munich has also won the Champions League 3 times. They won it in 2001 and they won the Champions League in 2013 by beating Dortmund. They lost in 2012. That goes on to what I said earlier. The Champions League is a competition that offers clubs a second chance. It offers clubs a second chance. Chelsea lost in 2008. The competition found a way to offer them a second chance in 2012 to beat Bayern Munich to win it. Doesn't it sound so interested? That is why I always say that football, personally to me, is a reflection of the larger society. As a friend always says, anything that cannot be explained by football doesn't exist. Right? Anything that can't be explained by football doesn't actually exist. So the Champions League is such a unique competition. A competition that allows clubs to bring out their best. It's a competition that allows clubs that are sleeping. There are certain clubs that they can be so terrible in league. But when it comes to the Champions League, just look at Bayern Munich last season. They were on brink of qualification to the final of the Champions League when they were so terrible at home. Leverkusen were lashing them to the league title, but Bayern Munich was just a hustle goal from hitting the Champions League. I know Bayern Munich fans are not going to be happy with what I am saying. Yes, they were just seconds away from a hustle winner from entering into the Champions League final. So it's such an interesting competition. Look at Dortmund. Dortmund were in the Champions League final. Dortmund were in the same Bundesliga as Bayern Munich. And they were the 4th best team, but they were able to progress to the final of the Champions League. Inter Milan had such an awesome season. But then they were beaten by Atletico Madrid, who were struggling at that point in time in the season. So it's one competition that is beyond your form. It's beyond how good your team is being set up. It is a competition that is, personally, it identifies with moments. It's a competition that identifies with moment. When the moment comes, you need to take it. It's a competition that doesn't offer you so many opportunities. So when you get your moment, you need to bury your chances because it might come back to bite you. As it happened in the Champions League final between Dortmund and Real Madrid. Dortmund had a number of opportunities in the first half. You see that Karim Adeyemi chance that he missed. Courtois came to rescue. He was able to make himself big to narrow the angle. But then it was also an opportunity that Adeyemi could have scored. Who knows? The results could have been something different if Karim Adeyemi had been able to score that goal. So it's one competition in as much as it offers you a chance to avenge after losing. It's also one competition that within a tie, you don't get too much opportunities. So when you get your moment, you need to score because it's a competition that favors momentum. It favors moment. So it's not about how good you are or how dominant you are, but how you are able to put in fact the moment that you have in a game in the UEFA Champions League. How are you able to translate your moment? That is why it's one competition that identifies more with individuals. So, are your big men coming to the party in the big moment? Real Madrid in their dominant phase had Cristiano Ronaldo coming up when the moment demands for him to step up. He stepped up. In recent years, Real Madrid has found themselves in Vinicius Junior, who steps up in the big moments against Bayern Munich. In the home game in the Santiago Bernabeu, he ate and tore apart Kimmich on that game. It was his shot at goal onto Manuel Neuer that forced Jose Lu from hitting the net to be able to draw parity in the game. And he also scored. At the home game, he scored a double. So you need your big boys stepping up. When Chelsea won the Champions League, they were not exceptional in 2012. But they had their big boys stepping up. They had Didier Tabili Drogba stepping up. He stepped up in the semi-finals by scoring a penalty. And he stepped up by scoring that glancing header in the final against Bayern Munich. So it's your big boys stepping up in the competitions. Over the years, one thing that Bayern Munich has been so dominant, have been so good in the league, but do their big boys step up in the Champions League? Many were expecting them to be so dominant as they are in the league, in the Champions League. But Robert Lewandowski, does he really step up in the business end of the Champions League? Does he? This season, did Harry Kane step up in the business end of the season? It's one competition that identify with their big boys. Erling Haaland, who has been in a goal machine for them in the Premier League for Manchester City, in the business end of the Champions League, does he step up? No. I think that also plays a role in why they've not been so dominant in the Champions League as against how dominant they are in the Premier League. As against how dominant they are in the Premier League. So it's one competition that identifies so much with your big boys stepping up so well. Hello, our cherished viewers. An awesome section with us. If you like the content, just slide into 45 TV, like, share, and subscribe. We are going to give you nothing but the best. It's a wrap.